It is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, and we walk into yet another week of college football. Week 3 is here, and we have a lot to talk about. Now, I did lie, just a little tiny one. Don't be too mad. We're talking about Notre Dame and Texas A&M today. I said Tennessee, Georgia. I saw this game, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to talk about this one first of all of them this weekend. So that's what we're doing. So Notre Dame and Texas A&M is a preview today. Georgia, Tennessee is tomorrow. And then we're going to decide. We're between LSU, Florida, and the Brawl. We'll see what happens on Thursday. But for right now, let's get into today's episode. First off, though, if you are new around here, please subscribe. Over 90% of people who view these videos are not subscribed. It would help us out a lot. Helps you come back to these videos, helps you come back to these previews, all the news that we drop here and talk about here on the channel. And it's free. Always will be, always has been. But it just helps me out, and it's much appreciated. So thank you guys, and let's go ahead and get into today's episode. I was going to drop my top 25 today, but I'm going to save that for tomorrow. Decided that I wanted to take a little more time to deliberate what I want to do, so that's going to come out tomorrow. Forgive me again. But we've got a lot of news to talk about anyway, so let's go ahead and get into it. First off, coming out of Morgantown, West Virginia, and this is a big week for this to happen, obviously, leading up to Backyard Brawl on Saturday. But Jaheim White and wide receiver Jaden Bray, Jaheim White, the running back for those who are uninformed, both of those guys have been announced as done for the season. Jaheim White had a pretty gruesome leg injury in the game. Kind of knew immediately what was coming, but wanted to wait, wanted to not speculate, and unfortunately, we're gonna miss out on a year or the rest of the year with Jaheim White. As for Jaden Bray, he was the second leading receiver, 95 receiving yards on what I believe to be 7 catches, if I read it correctly. Jaheim White had 133 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns so far on the season. So a lot of production missing to an offense that was already struggling, already sputtering even. Only scoring 10 points last week on the road in Athens against Ohio. A team that we thought might bounce back this week, might come out a lot more inspired. It's certainly going to take that kind of performance, I think, going forward, because now they're not only are they kind of at a talent deficit to begin with, but missing some star players is not the way you'd really want this one to go. It's unfortunate because, West Virginia has a lot of problems this year, and I think that they're going to continue to get better and better and better even throughout the year. But unfortunately, the injury bug has hit them pretty hard early in the season. Again, losing 2 of their top production players out in skill positions. So that's a bit of a tough break for the Mountaineers. Again, we will be talking a little bit about Backyard Brawl at some point this week. Not sure when, but at some point this week we will be. Moving on. I talked about this yesterday a little bit. Maybe there was a quarterback battle. Maybe there was a new starter coming down in Colorado, and there is. Expected to be anyways. Colorado is expected to start Ryan Staub at quarterback. He took over last week after both Caden Salter, Julian Lewis got some snaps, and then Ryan Staub comes in and goes 3 of 5 with 2 touchdowns to begin his day. Ends up having a pretty solid day himself after that as well, but really come in and put a spark in the offense. He's been around for a while, knows the offense, knows the team, and certainly looked the part of the starting quarterback for Colorado. So I'm pretty excited to see what he does. He's going to get the start, or expected to, again, get the start against Houston this week. That'll be an interesting game. That's a fun matchup early, too, in the season. 2 teams that certainly have a lot of potential, but neither team's really realized it yet. This is going to be a good game to determine which one of these 2 are legit contenders within the Big 12. Moving on, our last little bit of news for today. There's plenty more this week that we got to talk about, but for right now, let's go ahead and talk about what was announced yesterday out of Ann Arbor. Biff Poggi is going to be the interim head coach while Sherrone Moore serves his 2-game suspension that begins this week with Central Michigan. They will also miss, of course, next week against Nebraska. That's a tough one for a lot of reasons. One, because Michigan didn't look great against Oklahoma. Nebraska looks really good early in the year. Like that's a loss. That's a spot for a loss for Michigan early in the year. Michigan could walk out of this 2-2. That's a genuine fear that I think a lot of people have, and it just depends on how they're utilized. Sherrone Moore made some comments that I think throughout a lot of Michigan circles were not particularly well received about how they're pretty proud of Pretty happy with the way they're using Bryce Underwood. They don't intend to use him and put him in position to get hurt. The thing that I will counter with, and I know that this is armchair coaching, but again, let's go on the name. We're playing on the armchair quarterback, the armchair coach, the armchair whatever. This to me is not the way you should want to play. You know, look, Jaden Davis won this backup job. Expected to be there. You know, Mikey Keene's hurt, but Jake Garcia's been around college football for 4 years now. He can certainly take care of the ball and get the job done. We've seen this team win big games with less at quarterback. We saw this team go 12-1 with less at quarterback. The idea of being scared of injury of anybody, I know it's a quarterback. I know you don't want to ruin his career. But the fact that you're scared of injury this early in his career, is this going to go on for the next 4 years? Are we going to get 4 years because he's not being utilized properly? Because he's not getting the opportunity to put all of his skill sets out on tape. He's been good. Let's not be silly. Like Bryce Underwood has been good. But there is an element to his game that's not being used, and that's his legs. He's a very good runner and has proven it a couple of times so far this season. The fact that we haven't gotten the chance to really see it because of the coaching staff or whoever being a little bit scared to utilize that is problematic. We'll see what happens this next 2 weeks. I'm not expecting a whole lot. I'm not expecting anything impressive this week against Central Michigan. I think it'll be a win, and I think they're going to open it up a little bit. But certainly, there was a lot to be desired last week, even with that. Even, the run game wasn't great. Justice Haynes did well. Jordan Marshall had good moments, but they weren't great. The O-line wasn't great. They're getting pushed around a lot. Maybe getting him out of the pocket, maybe getting him outside and utilizing his legs can counteract some of that. I don't know. That's what I would expect. That's probably what I would try if I was a coach. But the idea of being comfortable with that, I don't know. But the point remains, going through this next couple, I like the move. First off, let's go back to the coaching move for a minute. I like the move of Biff Poggi being the interim coach. He's been around this program before. Obviously he went to Charlotte, took a time as a head coach, didn't work out as a head coach. But what he is a great motivator. He is a great person. And he really, I think, gets the most out of players. He didn't have a great situation at Charlotte, and we're kind of seeing that at Charlotte right now, the way they've played the first 2 games. But he's been in the Michigan locker room. He's been around a few of these players before in their career. But it also allows the 2 coordinators to be coordinators. It allows Wink Martindale and Chip Lindsey to just do their job, focus on their job and that only. I thought the Michigan team played the best a couple years ago in the Jim Harbaugh suspension, the first one, when they went and allowed for when it was between Sherrone and Moore, but they had co-offensive coordinators at that time. But Sherrone Moore or when Jay Harbaugh was the coach, obviously as a special teams coordinator, I expected something like that. That's kind of what we got. I think that's a good move. It allows, again, the coordinators to be coordinators, especially when the problems are there that we're seeing. But it allows these guys to still get up and play for a coach. So pretty excited for that. We'll be kind of paying attention to how they play on Saturday against Central Michigan. Now we move on to what you're here for, what the thumbnail said, what the title said. Notre Dame and Texas A&M. Preview this game. You look at it on the screen, 2-0 Texas A&M versus 0-1 Notre Dame. So we already know what's happening, right? Ignore the numbers. We already know what's happening, right? No, we don't. This is going to be a very fun contest. First off, Texas A&M has not looked great defensively. They've been bad, but and I'm not coming at them for 311 yards allowed. I'm not coming at them for anything. They've given up a couple garbage time touchdowns that make games look a little closer than they are. But UTSA consistently moved the ball. Utah State consistently moved the ball for portions of that game. That's where my issue lies in this thing. It's not that A&M is not good, because I don't buy that at all. I think they are actually a lot better than I expected them to be, and I already predicted them to be 8-4, 9-3. So I certainly think this is a team that's going to be really good. They're going to continue to move the ball on offense. But the biggest thing is they have to be able to win the line of scrimmage in this game, be able to overcome the noise, overcome the road atmosphere and environment early in this game, and try to maybe even neutralize it early in the game. A&M offensively has not been quite what I've expected them to be. I thought it would be a little bit more Le'Veon Moss, a little bit more, forgive me, because I'm blanking, a little bit more Reuben Owens, a little less Marcel Reed in the run game. But as a matter of fact, Marcel Reed's been the leading rusher and has the most carries by a considerable margin through 2 games, about 6 carries total. I think he leads by about 3 carries a game. They're running the ball 23 times. They're relatively balanced. 23 carries to 36 passing attempts in their game against UTSA, and we sat here with trying to find the numbers one more time because I didn't write them down. 34 passes to 45 runs in the game against Utah State. So we'll see. We saw a lot more Le'Veon Moss last week. I think we're going to see a continuation of that this week. Certainly trying to keep Marcel Reed healthy. This game's going to rely a lot upon Notre Dame and how they answered through the last 2 weeks. Remember, they had a bye week last week. Played Miami in week 1, lost a close game, but they were good at the end. C.J. Carr was really good at the end. The problem that I had with Notre Dame was their run game wasn't all that great. Jeremiah Love never got going. Expected a little more of that. I think we're going to see more of that. Jeremiah Love tore Texas A&M apart last year, and I certainly don't think that's going to change this year. I think he's going to be able to run the ball. This Notre Dame offensive line is going to be able to get their push at the line of scrimmage and do what they need to do. This A&M front seven doesn't quite scare me the same way that Miami's did for them. So that's part of my look there. You look at everything here. You look at the keys to the game for both sides. Get the running backs more involved. They did that last week. Continuing that, allowing Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens to be the leading rushers in this game, and not making it all be on Marcel Reed. Even though it's going to have to be at times. Marcel Reed's going to have to pull it, going to have to take care of the ball and do some stuff with his legs. But he doesn't have to do it all with his legs is the biggest thing I'm trying to point out. As for through the air, Marcel Reed's been great. He's got 7 touchdowns and no picks so far in the year. Really been good taking care of the football. Notre Dame, on the other hand, C.J. Carr had an interception thrown in week 1 against Miami. They also had a fumble against Miami. Just trying to take care of the football, keep a hold of it, would be a big deal there. Looking at my other keys, you see it there. Contain the quarterback for Notre Dame. Keep Marcel Reed in check. Make them beat you with their running backs. Make their running backs be the ones that take over this game. I don't know that they can do that. Similarly, on the other side of the ball, when I looked at Texas A&M, create pressure on C.J. Carr, but also make C.J. Carr beat you. Don't allow the run game to be what tears you apart, because that's what it was last year. The run game between what at the time was Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love absolutely dominated this game towards the end and down the stretch. I don't think that's going to happen again this year, but I certainly don't think it's going to be like, I don't think Notre Dame's just not going to run the ball. They're going to. They're certainly going to. But I think that we're going to watch A&M kind of force C.J. Carr to beat them. They're going to see that he can, and then it's going to be, okay, let's adjust our game plan, and that's where the Notre Dame run game starts kicking in. As for Notre Dame, the other thing for me, I talked about take care of the ball, contain Marcel Reed, but allow the run game to get going. Continue to utilize it. Continue to lean on this Texas A&M defensive front, because I think they'll wear down. Those are my big things in this game. There's a lot of other little things that we're going to see. There's a lot of stuff that we'll see. I'm going to say if Notre Dame gets over 150 yards, I think they'll win on the ground. But they have to run for 150 yards. And I'm not saying that that's their only path to win, but I think that's one of those stats that if you tell me Notre Dame runs for 150, I think they win the game. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited for this game. I'm genuinely very excited for this game. The line sit Notre Dame -6.5. Over/under sits at 50.5. I'm taking Notre Dame to win this game. I think it's going to be 31-17. Irish take it at home. Just ultimately controlling this game. They do get the run game going, and again, C.J. Carr is able to take care of the ball, but also kind of utilize his own talents to beat this A&M defense himself. So pretty excited for that. Excited for this game as a whole. This is going to be a certainty to be on the TV at 7:30. Texas A&M defense will walk out of here as a concern. I think we're going to see that there are a few a few holes, a few inconsistencies or problems to address. But I also think that Notre Dame's line of scrimmage and the ability to control it are going to be other storylines that we walk away from this with. So, again, 31-17 Notre Dame is my pick. Let me know what you guys are taking, who you guys are taking in this one. Let me know what you thought about the rest of this video. How excited are you for week 3? And with that said, tomorrow, again, Tennessee, Georgia, my top 25 will come out. We'll be all over that. So I thank y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Again, if you're new around here, subscribe. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Tennessee, Georgia preview.